So we've been covering the strike of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra musicians, and what's happening there is they went on strike because their compensation packages are not comparable to other world symphony orchestras. We talked about how this is problematic because this will affect people at all levels. The Chicago Symphony Orchestra, that's a world orchestra. So a lot of the players there, that's a finish line. You work hard to get to that point. And before you get to that point, you're probably going to be in smaller orchestras, some that might not meet every day even, and you're just getting paid per show, essentially. I don't know if shows, per performance, however you want to put it, and you're struggling to get by. But you eventually pay your dues and you land a gig somewhere like the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and you're compensated very well because you're one of the top players in the world and you've made it to this point, and you deserve that compensation. If you're screwing over people at the top, it's going to, quote, trickle down to everybody else. That's one, for instance, where trickle down is an applicable theory, when it's the trickling down of screwing people over. You know, so that means that the people who are just starting out and are playing in multiple orchestras to try to make a living, they might not be able to do that anymore because they're going to get screwed over too. So we talked about all that. Here's an update on what's going on. This is from the World Socialist website. Chicago Symphony musicians host packed concerts as strike reaches turning point. Almost a month into their longest strike ever, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra musicians continue to host successful free public concerts to full audiences as their struggle reaches a turning point. Performances at the Symphony Hall have been canceled through April 9th as negotiations resumed on Friday. That's this past Friday. The striking musicians at the world-class orchestra have received widespread support from around the world in their fight to defend their pensions, salaries, and other benefits. The resistance of the musicians comes amid a mass resurgence of strikes by workers globally to fight against poverty, wages, and concessions, including by teachers and auto workers. At stake is nothing less than the right to art and culture more broadly. Entering the fourth week of their strike, the CSO musician strike is now in the 26th day, the longest ever so far in more than 128 years. In 1982, the musicians went on strike for 21 days. All right. In the current contract negotiations, management has threatened drastic changes to the pensions of the CSO musicians, which would transform their defined benefit pension plan into a defined contribution plan. Such a change would force more contributions from musicians, putting their future at risk. All right, so it looks like they're still debating this. There's an enormous desire to fight back against social inequality by the working class. CSO musicians should appeal to teachers, auto workers, graduate students, and other sections of workers in the fight to defend art, culture, and the social rights of the working class. Such a struggle is above all a political struggle that will require the rational reorganization of society on the basis of a socialist program against the capitalist system, which increasingly imperils all of humanity with the dangers of war, fascism, and social counter-revolution. So this is still going on. It's the longest in the history of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and I guess they're still negotiating it. But as of right now, as of the recording of this, concerts are canceled through tomorrow, which is April 9th. As of the recording of this, we're recording this on April 8th. So we'll see what happens here. But people are showing up. They're showing up to support. What the musicians have been doing is they've been throwing free concerts for the public because they want to give to the public. They want to say, hey, public, this isn't your fault. This is management's fault. These are the people who are making money, and they're making money off of you paying the ticket price and us performing, and we're not getting compensated fairly, so we don't want to punish you, the people. So we're going to perform for free as part of this strike, which I think is really freaking cool. And I hope they get what they deserve. They deserve to be compensated the same as other orchestras of the world. And right now they're not. And that needs to change. So, good for you, CSO musicians.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and